An intriguing Democratic primary battle is shaping up in the state's 4th Senate District, which covers parts of Milwaukee, Glendale, and Shorewood. Democratic State Representative Mandela Barnes is challenging veteran Democratic Senator Lena Taylor. Barnes declared his candidacy last week, saying residents of the 4th District deserve leadership they could trust. There will be an August primary, and Representative Mandela Barnes joins us now on up front. Representative, good to have you back on the show.
Thank you for having me. Always a good time.
So tell me what you meant by that the residents of the 4th District deserve leadership they can trust.
Yeah, so when we talk about that, this race is less about challenging the incumbent, but more so about getting our message out there, about talking about the issues that matter most to people, not only in the 4th Senate District, but across the entire state. We're talking about people who deserve leadership that prioritizes public education, their public health and safety, and economic security. These are 3 of the most critical issues that people all across the state, but specifically in areas in Milwaukee, are dealing with right now. They deserve leadership who's going to be active on those issues.
You mentioned education, and I want to delve into that a little bit because you ran in 2012 against Representative Jason Fields, who was a strong school choice proponent. Is Senator Taylor's position on school choice an issue in this race?
So this isn't even about school choice. It's about strengthening our public schools. When we look at the wildly unpopular MPS takeover that we're dealing with now, the one that was put together by Senator Alberta Darling and Representative Del Koinga.
With Chris Abele in Milwaukee County.
That gave the power to the county executive. Right. There was the foundation was laid for that years prior when Senator Taylor introduced the bill for the complete takeover of Milwaukee Public Schools that would have handed the power directly to the mayor's office and taken away responsibility from the democratically elected school board.
A Jim Doyle idea, we should say.
Yeah, well, that's fair too. That's a fair assessment also. But he's no longer in office, so he's off limits on this one.
So you think she's has not been in the right place on the issue of public education?
Well, I think when it comes to education, there was a dangerous precedent that was set that allows for the erosion that's beginning to take place. It only starts with a few schools. You look at areas across the country that have been the focus of similar takeovers. It started with a few schools, a few schools, a few schools, and ultimately the districts became insolvent. And that's not what we can deal with. We cannot handle that type of atmosphere in the city of Milwaukee right now.
Is there such a thing going on right now in the Democratic Party of purging people who are perceived to be not in step with certain progressive values, whether it be school choice, whether it be certain gun legislation? Is there a purity test taking place in the party right now?
I won't say that there's a purity test taking place in the party. I have my set of principles that I stand on, and that's where the senator and I have our differences on those critical issues. When presented to the voters, who are not all members of the Democratic Party, I think they deserve to have that option to see what's on the table and see who's truly representing them in Madison and what they can have in a leader.
I got to ask you, is Senator Chris Larson involved in this in any way? Because you and I both know, I mean, the senator and Senator Taylor do not get along that well. I mean, they've both said that, and there have been some contentious moments here recently. Senator Larson likes you, he respects you. Is he a factor in this race?
Well, Senator Larson and I were friends before he was even in the Senate, so let's say that first. And I'm not going to deny that friendship that exists, but I haven't even talked to him since his race. I haven't talked to him in a while. And about this specifically, people will be very surprised to know that, my biggest motivation for getting in this race came from someone who is unfortunately no longer with us.
Yes, sadly. Let's talk for a moment about low turnout August elections. Does that make your task more difficult, or in some respects does it work to your advantage, getting people who are highly mobilized to the polls?
So the thing is, in this sort of election, you have people who are really interested in the issues. It's less about, who's been there for the longest. So there are significant advantages. But at the same time, these are people who absolutely know who's been in office, and they've seen that name a number of times on their ballot. So it can go either way. But I think that we will have a plan in place to make sure that the people who are coming out to vote will know who I am.
You feel like you're the underdog or the favorite in this?
I'm okay being an underdog. I was an underdog the first time, so if that happens again, we'll be right here in January.
Candidates like being underdogs. There's no question about that. State Senator, State Representative Mandela Barnes.
Freudian slip.
It's a slip there, yeah. State Representative Mandela Barnes, the candidate for the 4th District State Senate seat. Thanks very much for your time today. Still ahead, I'll have some final thoughts on a political year that doesn't cease to surprise.